Hey everybody, uh, Chomsky here. Wanted to talk about 2025 champions, and I was going through a Yum I love, and I think these are the 13 champions of 2025 that I most enjoy. I was trying to keep it to the champions that came out in 2025, but I couldn't. I basically don't remember. I was looking at the updates and all that fun stuff, and I try to keep it within 2025. If I'm wrong, please let me know. Just really wanted to, to chat them up. There's 13 here, and uh, yeah, 11 I enjoy. So let's go through it. I've talked about Theodosia before. I think that she is just a fantastic mythical top tier, the highest tier. So plus S plus caret two. Uh, I just think that she's awesome. I have Wand of Submission on her just to get a little bit more HP. Speed is fine, you know, but really it's the second form. It's having a protected block debuff and protected block debuff, decreased defense debuff. So you want to really crank out the speed, because this way it is protected. Otherwise, they're easily wiped. Um, this is a hell of an awesome uh, skill. Basically, again, you want to make her stupid fast because, yeah, you want to make sure those are protected. So Elva can't take them away. Nobody. Just leaps and bounds. This goes everywhere. So really, I take Theodosia everywhere. She's a 5 star. I have her with Lightning Cage, and she's in protection, which I hem and haw about because I I really don't want the stone skin to be pulled away. So that's why I have it in Lightning Cage as well as protection. So, and the unkillable. That's really it. But I really use her in her first form a lot, or second form a lot, just in live arena and in combat and anything. I was messing around with her in Chimera a little bit, uh, just for that unkillable and stuff like that. But she eventually got moved on. But really, anywhere else, I am like she was in my top 5 for Dark Forest. I use her as much as possible. I really dig her. I think she's a, a phenomenal champ. The second form also takes away their speed, you know, with the A1. So that's huge, as well as decreasing turn meter. So you don't want to use her against Marius, but anybody else, just phenomenal. I top notch. The second mythical is Furad. I've talked about him in other videos, but a lot of people shit on him. I I'm gonna go opposite, and I'm not trying to swim against stream just to for content or anything like that. I really enjoy Furad. Dude's a crowd control dude. So as long as Stone Skin's not there, I this is a guy you want on your team. He tosses out their freezes, tosses out block debuffs on us, as well as increasing turn meter. You know, with the A2, like just awesome. Well, I'm sorry, block debuffs and increased speed, and then it's also decreasing ally skills. Is this the turn meter? It's decreasing the target's turn meter. So they just stay frozen more, and you could cycle through your skills. Like it's just awesome, you know. And then he's doing like you know the ability to freeze. So there's more crowd control on that one, and it just it, all this crowd control on the first form, depending on who you have with the dwarves with them. Um, if you have Hilvi or Tormund and freezes are out there, you definitely want to toss in there the second form, just because he could deal more damage. So first form crowd control, second form the damage if you have other freezers out there. Like here it's just a single target, but he's ignoring 50% of that defense in addition to anything that we may have. So there's a bunch of damage there that can happen, as well as an AoE here with an additional hit. So I, all that, I get the hate with the mythical, and there should be a freeze component on the second form, which is what I was championing about. But for him to be with Hilvi and Tormund, and him being the main damage dealer out of that team, with let's say Senna, like that's an awesome combo, and I'm for it. You know, I I'm a big fan of Furad. He came in clutch with me for Dark Forest. There was that. I think I used them against the HP burn champ. Um, just I had the block debuffs, so he came up as my thing, and he really saved the day just in that first form. So just to have the block debuffs and increased speed, and then the cooldown of skills like that was it came in clutch. So if you have them, I'd build him out. Like he's at 227. I have him crit capped with, he needs a little bit more crit damage. He has enough HP to sustain. Some accuracy would be nice, but he's fine like this for PvE. PvP, as long as they don't have Stone Skin, I think he's fine. Next up is Leo. This one caused a bunch of people to get upset, and I get it. Just waiting on resources to pull for him and yada yada yada. But pretty solid. Him with the turtles, him with his brothers, fantastic. Him by himself, okay. Uh, have him in protection. Crit capped 309. He may be one of my most high non-mythical resistance at 315, which is pretty sad. Could definitely use a little bit more HP, a little bit more defense. I don't care about accuracy on him because that doesn't make sense. All that really comes into play here is that he puts Stone Skin. Yeah. Um, you know, when his HP is down below 50%, like that's awesome. So he's just tanky, and then with the counter attack, where are you? Da, 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 da. An unkillable and counterattack. So I have him protection. I've seen others with, some feral out there. Just maybe not feral. Um, no, definitely not feral. What am I talking about? Chomsky. Jeez. Um, but protection just makes sense. You just want to protect all your stuff. So this way it's not stolen, and especially if you don't have that much resistance. But solid champ, definitely worth the hype. Definitely earned the hype. Definitely earned the rage as well. But you got Mikey from a login, and basically a lot of people got Donnie as well because he was a fusion. So getting Raphael was kind of the missing piece, and you know that's fine uh, because like getting all turtles, you get that going. Even if there's only Mikey or even Donatello on there, it's still not bad to ignore 15% of the defense on the A3. It does do a lot of damage. So you'll see him in live arena, and pretty much he's pretty easy to take out because you take away Leo and all the other turtles are kind of mid. So he's definitely very tangential. If you have the turtles, he's great. If you don't have them, he's not fully working to his potential, but he's still pretty good. Yeah. In my other video, I talked about Crocad and the need for him to be with Shayak. By himself, he's still fine. I think he's serviceable. It's just again talking about Leo with him. He just needs that buddy. That's it, and and he's okay. If you have him, you use him in Hydra, and he's pretty solid. He's in Faction Wars, and that's basically it. Faction Wars, Hydra, and that's fine. Um, a good crowd control, like the AOE A1, is pretty solid. You could have him in a stun set, and he'll take care of it. Does a lot of damage. So build him up and build him out. Next one is Blade is Keldor, and I think he's 2025. I think so. I was really pumped to get him. Sylvan Watcher, faction unity. I was so stoked, man. Uh, and really, it's a combination of his skills. Duh. But I had him with our bias, which does a little continuous heal and stuff like that. But um, basically, I do the A2. I toss him on myself because I want a perfect veil as well as continuous heal. Great, cool. You basically get like 8 continuous heals, you know, and then you cycle around and you A3 whoever you want, and it's just nutty because like on the faction war on the hard faction war, um, boss man, like I could do like 75% of of the dude's HP. Just it's absolutely pandemonium, and it's always going to be a crit essentially, uh, because each continuous heal on him, I'm getting an increased crit rate. So it's really easy to basically build out with no crit rate. Just a very simple 290. Just it's fine. I would love to get more crit damage. I would like to push 400 and just basically one shot, but I'm not there with the current setup, and that's fine. But the his what he has with the faction unities is just ridiculous. The continuous heal increases the crit rate, as well as it fills his turn meter, as well as it increases his damage, and he's ignoring 15% defense, and it's just like this. This is basically everything in one, and he's absolutely nuts. So I have him in Heaven Cast as a 5 star, because the continuous heal buffs on him, like, just want to increase that as much as I can. So I would love to get a 6 star on him. I need to get 300 of those coins first. Uh, I've been wasting them, but yeah, absolutely nutty champ. If you have them, you know you get it, but absolutely pandemonium on that. And to that end, Balar gets tossed in there too, because there's some synergy with the poison, and this guy goes nuts too. He's placing 3 poisons on the initial target for 2 turns. If it's critical, which he should be critical, places 3 poisons on all enemies instead. So poisons galore, right? And then you toss an A2. He's attacking, tosses a leech, and then he activates all poisons on all enemies. So, like, really just a huge poison explosion. And that's great. And I really want poison to kind of like have a lingering effect, because to basically activate all poisons, that's neat, but it doesn't do nearly as much damage. It helps against bosses, but bosses inherently have this like 1% max poison damage, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of poison explosion. So it's kind of sucks, but it's cool to see in action, you know? Um, and he's ignoring defense, but his attack is kind of weak. So they try to balance it as much as they can, but it doesn't really do it justice. So again, waiting for that 6 star for him, and it'll happen. But I just got to be patient. And then I have Arachnid Elixir, just because it kind of makes sense. It's yeah, deals bonus damage to half of his attack, and albeit not that much, but he could be a nice input for the stock Nell, Carnage, and Volcanos team I have, uh, for arena or tag team. But whatever, it's just something to mess around with. And I have him in Feral for more damage for debuffs. So there's a whole lot to mess around with there. Not going to spend too much time on Titus. We know that he's absolutely ridiculous, uh, breaking all the Hydra damage keys and all that fun stuff. So have fun. Yeah, a lot of people do, and you should be thanking yourself for going for the fusion. Next up is Kieran. Uh, Kieran is a weird one, and sometimes I gravitate towards that. With Kieran, I got relatively early, and I I loved the kit that he had, and I have him in Molten Deathbell, just to increase his turn meter when he's tossing in his sleeps. This is the guy that he's not fully booked because I don't think he needs it. Uh, just putting sleep out there gets himself an extra turn, and then he's attacking. One dude puts all of his skills on cooldown, and then everybody else has decrease in their turn meter by 15%. If they are slept, if they don't have sleep, it's 30%. So you don't want them going against uh, Marius, for instance, because decreasing turn meter means that he gets to go. So we don't want that. But it's nice to basically put sleep out there and do what you can. So I don't mind tossing a sleep out there than going A1, but they get woken up. So I try not to toss Kieran in when I'm going against Marius, but in Dark Forest that I put him in, he just does. It's just nice to have another debuff out there and have people skip turns and stuff like that. So I dig it. Like he's a fun mess around champ. Like we need to have those. Not everybody could be like an S tier damage dealer and stuff like that. So this is one of my fun champs that I like to bring around. And the dude, like I moved around some gear, but getting him up to like 330 is pretty cool. And then just sustainability, and then a little bit more accuracy, and he's fine. So again, like 330 and like maybe like 550 accuracy, and you're okay. Um, for PVE, you don't need that much, but he's just a fun champ, and I have him with defense and accuracy more than anything else. Xenomorph, kind of in the same vein as Kieran, just a fun champ to mess around with. Kind of talked about it with Balar with poisons, and I have him in Feral. Fully crit capped, crit damage, a lot of accuracy. You know, decent HP, could be better. Decent attack and decent defense. Just really middle. Like he's a meddling champ. I don't use him that often, but when I do, I'm like, man, really need to use him some more. The main draw is just the poisons. You know, getting 3 poisons on a dude, fantastic. And then he's perfect failing, and then he's stunning. But infest is the big one, and let's go over this again. The pure damage, whenever that champion who's infested dies, deals 50% of that enemy's max HP uh, out. So that's pretty neat, man. Um, yeah, it's kind of like the corpse explosion in Diablo, in that realm, and that's fun. I want them to have more fun champs like this. So I was really pumped for him, and we got him for free with a 5 star. So I have him in lethal dose, although, albeit this is only for arena. That could be good, but I don't mind tossing in the debuff blessing as well of nature's wrath. Um, because yeah, this goes everywhere rather than lethal dose, which is really just arena or siege. So, am I going to really use him in siege? Maybe. I mean, I do have Dark Elf, Faction Guardian, and I could have some fun with that. But for right now, he's just guarding my vault. Uh, Lemonisi, I really had a fun time using Lemonisi in Curse City. I think heal reduction is huge. It's for 2 turns, and once you get her booked up and fast enough, you should be getting heal reduction out there at all times. This came in clutch when I was helping people finish Curse City, and I could see her being utilized awesomely in Dark Forest as well. Just really, really good. Removing debuffs, the heal reduction is big, and then in case they have shield, it's fine. But like really just aiming for the A3 and cycling through. It is on a 3-turn cooldown once fully booked and all that fun stuff. She's a 1/3/3 champ, and you do need accuracy and stuff like that on her. But really solid champ, really came in clutch. So don't sleep on her. I think she could be like a pretty solid champ. And aesthetically, like just awesome. We get the little what's that undead horde? Um, her Carelys or whatever. You got a little like shout out there. So really, really badass. Next up is Preva. I recently pulled her. Uh, this is more. This is it's more of like, hey, you need a reviver. Here's another one in Demon Spawn, and she's really solid for that. I don't have her booked or even geared or anything like that. I have 2 presets on her that I'm just still messing around with. I have Journal on her. She is going to be fully mastered. I just need to mess around with her to see how I want to do it, but it's most likely going to be a support of timely intervention. Um, Maybe defense, maybe not. Offense just seems kind of silly because I'm leaning into the whole revive element more than anything else. It sucks that it's only a 1-person revive, but it is neat that it's 100% HP and then a half turn meter and then a full reset of their skills. Like that full reset, if you could get that going, that's just silly. Um, Really, really solid. And then here she's healing all allies by 25%, increased defense, increased speed. She's transferring all debuffs from her to an enemy. Like that's a pretty neat one. And then she's transferring 1 crowd control, like a decreased defense, a poison, something like that to her. And then she's also filling up all turn meters. So, this kind of has a Scion, the Scion uh, epic of Demon Spawn element to it. Kind of wonky, kind of weird because you typically don't want to build um, a lot of resistance on her because of that whole she needs to get debuffs or your team need to get debuffs and then she transfers. So that's kind of weird, but it's kind of cool to have. I Again, she's naked. I don't really use her, but I enjoy that whole 100% HP and half turn meter and a full cooldown of their skills. Like that's rad. And she's solid. So don't sleep on her. If you have her, really solid reviver. I got Fabian. I talked about Fabian before. If you have him, he's pretty awesome. Speed and accuracy is really all you need. So get nuts with that, and you're okay. Attack is whatever, but he's a beast. He's a burden in Live Arena. He's awesome in wave content. If you have him, you use him everywhere, outside of bosses. But yeah, just a pain in the ass. And then the last one is Gapsguard that I wanted to talk about for 2025 champs. I was sorely disappointed in him. Um, just really, really disappointed. I thought he was going to do a lot more damage as a defensive nuker in Feral. And then I had the talent on him. You know, just I not necessarily the best gear, but pretty much up there. And I don't have him fully booked because I when I play tested him, I was like, okay, this guy's okay. Um, he puts out a provoke, tosses in an increased defense and a shield on everybody. It's based on his defense. Another AoE has decreased attack and then a weaken. So off the bat, really solid, high potential. He's ignoring stuff, and then he's also killing. And if he does kill, he revives, so that's pretty neat. And then he's tossing a block revive on targets killed by it. So a block revive in addition to a revive. Okay, has the elements of a solid champ. You know, fills all turn meters by 25% with a heal, and like he just has a lot of stuff going on. But if they change a damage modifier, you know, like I think he could be really, really solid. But right now they missed the mark on him. Or conversely, I missed the mark on him. I just really, really got disappointed with him. you know, talk about 5,500 defense, crit capped 274, 472. Like I, I expected more damage, and I expected a Stultus type damage, and he didn't. It felt more and more like Ultimate Death Knight. And for a void, I'm not tossing any weak hits. I should be doing really, really good, and not the case. So he's definitely one of my disappointing ones. And to a certain extent, you know, same thing with Kieran. That's low hanging fruit, but definitely Gaps card um, was one of those champs that I got disappointed in. Honorable mention uh, for 2025 was Key Hulk. I thought I still do. I like him a lot. Okay. Um, I have him in a hex set just to get another debuff out there, and I think this was in Faction Wars. You know, I I, I really like him. I think he does a lot of help. You know, with the counterattack and unkillable. I I wouldn't mind putting him in a protection set. I I, I initially had him in a 9-piece feral. Right now he's only 5, but um, putting him in a feral is great because you're tossing out 4 debuffs out there, and that's just great. Decreased defense, a weaken, a decreased accuracy, decreased resistance, huge for Chimera. So if you have them, that's awesome. And then we have a true fear that can't be resisted. That again, a Chimera like super beast, right? Counterattack, unkillable, taunt, and they're protected. Like that's just awesome. So if you have them, you use them basically, yeah, like everywhere and for good reason. But yeah, definitely a huge shout out. So if you need a boss clearer, it's Key Hulk. And then I have him in Coronet here, which defeats the whole purpose um, because attack is the base, but he's defense based, so that doesn't count. And then accuracy is more or less not necessarily needed. It's just to increase the total damage when he places a debuff, and it goes up to 30%. So getting almost a third more damage is ginormous. So I mess around with the Coronet as well as Malefic Talon as well as Cat's Gaze on them. So it's there. But yeah, those are my 14 champs I want to talk about for 2025. Uh, Either way, I love the way that Plarium is going forward uh, with their champs, albeit it kind of seems like they're tossing the 2019 and 2020 champs out the window, so there's going to be a power creep. But yeah, still solid. I really digging it. Uh, and that's what I have for you. So I look forward to hearing about your champs that you were most excited about in 2025, ones that you may have gotten in 25 that really elevated your account. But that's that's all I got. Looking forward to seeing what 2026 has. Until then, take care.